This is Ruth Ann McKinnon. Welcome to my channel. I'm just going to do a very basic video today covering the perfumes that I've been wearing a lot in this last week. I was out of town this last weekend, and so whenever I travel, I take a couple of bottles with me, and I feel like I really get to know them really well. And so I'm going to be covering those in addition to what else I've worn this week and enjoyed, and give you my thoughts and impressions. So I'm going to start with Guerlain's Chant d'Arôme. This is a, typically for me, this is more of a spring-summer scent, but I'm really liking it this fall. This has a little bit of spice to it. It's kind of a citrusy, spicy, very unisex fragrance. I'm sure it's got a lot of complex florals, just like everything by Guerlain does. But because of that mild spiciness, it really lends itself well to fall. And it's never overpowers. It's light, but yet it's strong enough to smell. It's just one of those really nice, easy reach, easy wear. And I like the spiciness of it. And I believe I'm not sure what the note is. I don't want to misquote it, but I'm not going to go into specific notes on this video. I'm just going to give my impressions. But this is just an absolute beauty that is much under-loved in my opinion. Next up, I have one that I talk about a lot on this channel. I'm probably the only one that talks a lot about this fragrance, so I hope you don't get too tired of it. But this is the original Charlie. So this one came out in 1973. This is a real amber and sandalwood fragrance with a strong note of oak moss from beginning to end. If you like oak moss, I've always said this is one that you need to try. This one is milder than Charlie Blue, which is probably more popular at this point than the original Charlie. This is a little softer, a little sweeter, a little less harsh than the Charlie Blue, but nonetheless, it is a underrated masterpiece in my opinion. This is one of my absolute favorite fragrances, and I usually go through one or two a year. And so, of course, this is always a big one for me in the fall. This is one of my favorites for working out in the yard. We have a decent-sized city lot of a yard with sidewalk. So if anyone's ever had to take care of a yard that has a sidewalk and curbs, you know what I'm talking about. Tons of edging, tons of cleaning, lots of things to do with a yard like that. And I love wearing Charlie when I work in the yard. For me, it's just a perfect combination, especially now with fall and cleaning up leaves. So this one I've really enjoyed this fall. Next up is Alyssa Ashley Musk. So this goes also back, I think this goes back to the 60s. This comes from the generation that were looking for something basic, the 60s hippie patchouli movement. They also really were into musk, and that's when Alyssa Ashley came out with this fragrance. It is and always has been unisex, if you can tell that by their logo. I think it pulls a little more feminine, but I could see how men could pull this off quite well because there is a note of bergamot in here. It's just absolutely beautiful skin scent. When you spray this on, it quickly becomes a skin scent. Does not project well at all, but it's a perfect wear if you don't want to disturb others, if you're around others who are bothered by perfume. I stayed with my sister, and she has a terrible problem with floral perfumes, so I really can't wear much of anything that has floral notes. And I can put this on liberally and respray it all day, and she never smells it, never says a word. So absolutely warm, sexy, musky, your skin but better skin scent. Lasts several hours. This is one of my all-time favorites. I highly recommend. Look at this massive 6.8 ounce bottle, and you see that dent I put in there? That's got to be at least 50 mils, and that's just from last weekend. So highly recommend this fragrance. Next up, I have one from Hermes. This is Lombra de Merveilles. This is the amber version from their Merveilles line. This line is known for its ambergris. So there is a very understated, very expensive, very classy fragrance here. The ambergris lends itself to a real salty vibe, but it's not really... okay, so if you think of most salty, beachy kinds of fragrances, this is a very different take on that. It's like if you were going to take the most expensive, most high-class salty smell, salty scent, that's what this is. It's just absolutely top of the line. I can't imagine that there's anything better that would give that salty sea air and then combine it with amber. And so if you don't like florals, but you're looking for something great for fall or winter, this is an excellent choice, because I don't think there's any florals in this. And you will just, all day long, you will get this beautiful scent of the warm, caramely amber, and the ambergris together is just, I can't even describe it. It's just beautiful. This is something that I would always want to have around. And I even though I'm not even halfway through this bottle, I already have a backup bottle. That's how much I value this fragrance. Next up, this is another one that I wore a lot over the weekend, Diamonds and Sapphires. So the interesting thing, when I first started spraying this one, I wasn't really certain if I liked it, and it grew on me a bit over time, and I've noticed that with a lot of these chypre fragrances, that is the case for me. If I just give it a little time, I will come to appreciate it. Now, I didn't dislike it, but there's a melon note in Diamonds and Sapphires that's very pronounced in the opening, and I found it a little off-putting, and quite frankly, it smells kind of like cantaloupe to me, but that is the prominent note, but there are many other notes, so it's really, really well blended. It's not like it's solely like, wow, I'm spraying on cantaloupe, but there's enough of it that it just really was off-putting for me at first, but then as I wore it, I came to really enjoy it and appreciate it. There are some green notes in here, some oak moss in the base, and you know, the kind of typical chypre DNA. This is kind of a old school, big hair, 80s, even though this came out in the 90s. It's got a very much of an 80s feel to it, but I really do appreciate and like it. I don't know that I'll buy another bottle when this one is up, but I am enjoying it kind of as a daytime, easy reach wear type of fragrance. Oh, and by the way, it does last a good 6 hours. So these Diamonds and Sapphires, Diamonds and Emeralds, those kinds of fragrances are generally under $20, and you really can't beat the longevity on them. And then I have two more. This is True Love by Elizabeth Arden. So I think I've heard this was discontinued, but I don't know for certain. I have a couple backup bottles because I love this. This is a real soapy white musk. This would be, and I believe it's blended with florals. I can't really pick out any one floral in particular. It's probably rose, but primarily what you get here is white musk and soap with a bit of a floral touch to it. So it's very feminine, very beautiful. This is clean, fresh out of the shower, like the kind of fragrance you'd want to wear on your wedding day. I mean, it's really that pretty. It's kind of an innocent, feminine, light, fluttering. Think of a white dress. I like to spritz this on at night before I go to bed sometimes, right out of the shower or bathtub. This is just lovely. And it lasts, the longevity on it could be better. Honestly, that's why I don't mind, you know, having several bottles of these to have as backups. Maybe lasts about 4 hours, but I think this bottle I paid $13 for. So anyway, True Love by Elizabeth Arden. If you like soapy white musks, this is a must try. And then I have one more, and this has really been one of my favorites. I've been just absolutely loving Taboo. And Taboo is by Dana. Okay. So this is like a easier to wear, more wearable, not as, what's the word, bombastic. It's not as, burn your nose kind of a scent as the original Yves Saint Laurent Opium. Now, Opium was only, I believe it was first released in either the late 60s or the early 70s. Taboo, of course, has been around since the 1930s. So Taboo came long before Opium, but man, you can really tell that there is a similarity between the two. Very classy, very beautiful, very, very spicy. I've heard this compared to Dr. Pepper. I've heard this compared to root beer. I don't really get either of those, but this to me is just a classic spicy fragrance. And you got to be careful on the trigger because this is extremely strong. I sprayed this on my shirt last night before bed, and I could still smell it going strong in the morning. So it's a really long-lasting, very inexpensive fragrance. If you like YSL Opium, if you like L'Elephant by, oh, I forget the name of that company, Kenzo L'Elephant. If you like spicy fragrances in general, this is one that you have to try. I'd have to ask you, why haven't you tried it? I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous. Long-lasting, very comforting. Like I said, Opium, YSL Opium was my signature scent for pretty much all of the 80s, all through one of my signature scents, I should say, late 80s, early 90s. Pretty much the only perfume I wore, and actually I like Taboo better. I'm just going to be honest. This is better, in my opinion, and it's far better priced. So I'm going to have to get another bottle because I'm going to go through this easily in the next month. So that is what I've been wearing lately. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.